All right, so get this. Cathie Wood's been busy. January 28th, 2025. Markets are, a little shaky. And she's making some pretty bold moves. This is Cathie Wood we're talking about, the head of ARK Invest. Doesn't shy away from a big bet, especially in tech. Today, we're diving into a Motley Fool article. They detail 3 stocks she just got. Advanced Micro Devices, that's AMD, Amazon, AMZN, and Pure Storage, PSTG.
Well, Cathie's known for her long-term bets, especially in disruptive tech. Remember that early Tesla investment? Back then, everyone thought she was crazy. Look at Tesla now. She's got this knack, for seeing these companies that could change the game, even when they're facing some serious headwinds.
So she's got that crystal ball for tech, basically. But is she right to be so bullish this time, especially with how much AI has been shaking things up?
That is the million-dollar question. And to answer it, we really need to break down these companies, see how they fit into the big AI picture.
Okay, let's start with AMD then. Their stock's been all over the place. Down 35% over the past year, even hit a new 52-week low just yesterday.
Yeah, that recent drop is mostly because of a sell-off in AI stocks, triggered by this new, cheaper international AI model. It's a game changer because it makes AI so much more accessible, not just for the big tech companies anymore. Smaller players can get in on the action too.
So is that good news or bad news for AMD?
Well, their performance is a bit of a mixed bag lately. Their gaming and embedded segments are struggling. Revenue's down 69 and 25% respectively last quarter. But their data center business, that's booming, up 122% in the same quarter. Like they're on this seesaw, one side up, the other way down.
Wow. Yeah, those numbers are pretty wild.
It just shows how much pressure AMD is facing in those segments.
For sure.
And it highlights how crucial their data center business is. It makes up over half their revenue now.
And they're reporting Q4 results next week, right? Their guidance is predicting 22% revenue growth. Analysts are even more optimistic, like 25% for 2025.
It all boils down to that data center segment.
Yeah.
And how these cheaper AI models are going to affect it. Will demand go up even more? Or will there be a ton of new competition?
Yeah, it really is like 2 different AMDs right now.
Exactly. And Cathie Wood seems to be betting on the thriving one, the data center side, to pull AMD through.
Okay, let's move on to Amazon. They're a totally different story than AMD. Stock's up 48% this past year. And, get this, their profit targets are actually going up.
Yep, and just like AMD, their earnings come out next week too. Analysts are thinking 10% revenue growth for Q4. Maybe not as flashy as AMD's numbers, but here's the thing. They're predicting a 48% jump in profitability.
Wow. Now, those are the kind of numbers that make investors happy. But how does Amazon fit into all this AI stuff we've been talking about?
Well, their cloud hosting business, Amazon Web Services, or AWS, it's been growing like crazy, accelerating sales growth for 4 quarters straight now. And get this, these cheaper AI models might actually be good for AWS. Businesses might flock to them for more affordable solutions.
So Amazon could actually come out on top because of these new AI developments.
That's the interesting thing about disruption. It's not just about challenges, it's also about opportunity. And Amazon, they've got the infrastructure, the reach. They're in a great position to adapt and maybe even benefit.
But doesn't that make Amazon a bit slow to react? Kind of like a lumbering giant. These cheaper AI startups are a lot more agile. Can Amazon really keep up?
I see what you mean. Agility definitely helps in a fast-moving field like AI. But Amazon's got a history of adapting, and surprisingly well. They constantly innovate, expand into new areas, and they often exceed expectations.
So they've got a good track record, I'll give them that. But what about Pure Storage? They're kind of in their own lane, aren't they? Not directly involved in AI like AMD and Amazon are.
You're right. They focus on high-reliability flash storage for data centers. And even with that 10% dip yesterday, probably due to that same AI sell-off, their stock is still up over 60% in the past year.
It's pretty crazy how a hardware-focused company is still affected by all this AI stuff.
Yeah. It just shows how interconnected the whole AI ecosystem is. Think of it like building a house. Pure Storage provides the foundation, the data storage that everything else is built on.
Right.
Without that strong foundation, even the most advanced AI can't function properly.
So they're working behind the scenes, making sure all that data that fuels AI is stored properly and accessible.
Exactly. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the AI world. As AI gets more complex, uses more data, the demand for Pure Storage's solutions is only going to go up.
So we've got 3 companies, all connected to AI, but each one plays a different role. AMD powers AI with their chips. Amazon provides the cloud where AI lives. And Pure Storage provides the foundation for all that data.
And Cathie Wood seems to be piecing this AI puzzle together, betting on these different parts of the ecosystem.
It's like she's not just looking at individual companies, she's looking at the entire AI landscape.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It's not just about these three companies on their own. It's about understanding what's shaping the future of AI and how Cathie Wood's positioning herself to ride that wave.
So we've laid the groundwork here. Got a sense of who these companies are, what they do, and how they fit into this evolving world of AI. We've got these pieces of the AI puzzle. What's the overall picture looking like? What's happening with AI that's making Cathie Wood make these bets?
Well, like we said before, these cheaper AI models, more accessible ones, they're shaking things up. It's like when the personal computer came out. Something that only a few could use, now everyone can.
So it's not just about having faster chips or bigger data centers anymore. It's about who can make AI affordable, easy to use, right?
Exactly. That's where things get really interesting. There are all these new startups popping up, creating these innovative AI tools and applications. More specialized, more cost-effective.
So are the big tech giants in trouble? Are these startups going to take over?
Not necessarily. The big players, they still have a lot going for them. Huge resources, infrastructure, they're everywhere. But they've got to adapt, and fast.
It's like they're these big ships trying to squeeze through a tiny canal. All that power, but one wrong move, and they're stuck.
That's a great way to put it. This landscape changes so quickly, you got to be nimble.
So how do these companies we're talking about fit in? AMD, Amazon, Pure Storage. Can they thrive in this new AI world, or are they going to get left behind?
Let's start with AMD. They've been doing really well because of the AI boom, especially their data center business.
But their other stuff, like gaming and embedded systems, they're struggling, remember? Could these cheaper AIs make those problems even worse?
It's definitely possible. If those cheaper models get strong enough, they could start taking over tasks that used to need specialized chips. That would put pressure on AMD's other businesses.
So AMD can't just focus on winning in data centers. They need to figure out how to stay relevant everywhere else, too.
Exactly. They might need to offer more diverse products, find new partnerships, maybe even buy some other companies strategically.
What about Amazon? We talked about how they could actually benefit from this. Businesses wanting cheaper AI solutions on AWS, but are they doing enough to stay ahead of the curve?
Oh, they're making moves for sure, investing tons in their own AI chips, developing AI-powered services, partnering with startups.
But they're also facing all the scrutiny, right? Regulators, people worried about how much power they have. Could that slow them down?
It could definitely. Antitrust concerns, regulations, all that can get in the way, especially when it comes to moving fast and acquiring new startups.
It's a good reminder that AI isn't just about tech. It's about politics, economics, societal stuff too.
You're absolutely right. It's complex, fascinating, so many moving parts. Hard to tell how it'll all play out.
And Pure Storage, they're like the underdog in all this, aren't they? Providing that essential infrastructure for AI, but they don't get as much attention as the big name.
True, but they're in a key position. The more advanced AI gets, the more data it needs. That means the demand for high-performance, reliable storage, it's only going to go up.
But what if cloud providers like Amazon start offering their own storage solutions? That would compete directly with Pure Storage, wouldn't it?
That's a real possibility. But Pure Storage is trying to set themselves apart, offering specialized solutions, services for specific AI tasks.
So it's not just about storage size anymore. It's about knowing what AI needs and customizing solutions, right?
Precisely. And they've been working with companies like NVIDIA, the big AI chip maker. That could give them a real advantage.
So each of these companies has its own hurdles and its own chances in this changing AI landscape. But what does it all mean for Cathie Wood and her investment strategy?
Well, remember we talked about her being really good at seeing these disruptive trends. I think these investments show she's not just bullish on AI overall. She's specifically bullish on AI becoming more democratic.
She's betting on AI not being controlled by a few companies anymore. She's betting on it being available to everyone.
Exactly. And these three companies, they're each contributing to that shift in their own way. AMD with processing power, Amazon with cloud access, and Pure Storage, making sure all that data is stored properly.
So she's betting on AI becoming a truly widespread technology.
Woven into our everyday lives.
Which is what makes her such an interesting investor to follow. She's not just following the crowd, she's trying to predict where it's going.
Takes a lot of vision, a lot of guts to do that.
But it's risky too, right? We talked about the challenges these companies face. What could go wrong with her bet?
For one, the tech changes so fast in AI. Something that looks like a safe bet today could be outdated tomorrow.
Like trying to hit a target that keeps moving.
Exactly. And then there's all the regulations. They're always changing, could create obstacles for these companies.
And we can't forget about the competition. There are tons of startups trying to be the next big AI thing.
True. They could end up pushing out the companies Cathie Wood's invested in.
That's the risk you take with disruptive technologies. High stakes, big potential rewards, but also big losses.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about understanding the companies and their tech. It's about the bigger picture, the forces shaping AI, understanding the risks involved.
That's it, exactly.
Which brings us back to that big question we started with. Is Cathie Wood making the right call investing in these companies?
Well, there's no easy answer. It depends on how you see things, how much risk you're willing to take, and how much you believe in these companies, in the future of AI.
So, no crystal ball predictions today.
Afraid not. Investing is all about making informed decisions, using the best information you've got. Hopefully this deep dive's given you some good insights to help you come to your own conclusions.
That's right. You heard it here first, folks. No guarantees, but we had a fascinating look at AI and one investor who's making some big bets on its future. So much to consider. Companies, financials, this AI shift, where does it all leave us?
When you look at the big picture, it's clear Cathie Wood's in it for the long haul. She's not worried about little market hiccups, or the people who say her moves are too risky.
Yeah, it's like she's got a different roadmap. Some see danger, roadblocks. She sees a clear path, straight to an AI-powered future.
That's what makes her stand out, I think. She's not just following the crowd. She's blazing her own trail, betting on the companies she thinks will dominate tomorrow.
But she hasn't always been right, has she? Remember that plant-based meat company a few years back? Didn't really work out the way she thought it would.
That's true. You don't win every time. But her track record overall, pretty impressive. And she's definitely not afraid to take chances.
So for those of us who, don't have $1 billion to throw around, what can we learn from how Cathie Wood does things?
I think the big takeaway is to think long-term and recognize those disruptive trends early on. Cathie Wood's not looking at next quarter's earnings. She's looking at the next decade, even further.
So we need to find those big shifts, right? The changes that are reshaping everything, even if most people don't see them yet.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what's going to shape the world in the years to come? And then which companies are ready to take advantage of that?
So in this case, that's AI. And the companies are AMD, Amazon, Pure Storage.
That's right. Whether she's right or wrong, she's definitely onto something. AI is a game changer, a technology that could completely change how we live.
Makes you wonder, what if she is right? What if these companies do become the big names in this AI future?
Well, if that happens, the people who invested early, who saw what she saw, they'll be laughing all the way to the bank.
But even if they don't become the next Apple or Microsoft, just thinking about these things, understanding Cathie Wood's strategy, that's valuable in itself, right?
Absolutely. It's about opening our minds, questioning what we think we know, considering things that might have seemed crazy a few years ago.
We've been on this journey, not just through finance and technology, but through the mind of one of the most interesting investors out there.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, going deeper than the headlines, exploring the complexities, helping you think for yourself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Cathie Wood's latest buys, we'll leave you with this. The future is uncertain, but it's full of potential. Stay curious, keep exploring. Don't be afraid to ask the big questions. You never know. You might just discover the next big thing.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep diving deep.